Hello everyone. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you're based. Today we have a webinar on a comparison of all the Creo Simulation products presented by us Boundary Systems. And so we will get right underway. So today what we're going to talk about are all the FEA products that have been released by PTC and kind of discuss what their benefits or drawbacks might be on each one. So I'm going to start by showing kind of an overview comparing all of them. And then I'm going to show a few examples, kind of showing how these products work in terms of structural, thermal, modal. And we'll kind of see what they can and can't do. So my name is Anthony Vetterini. I'm a technical specialist with Boundary Systems. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering in Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering, and I have a solid base kind of just working with CAD and FEA tools and really specialize in the CAE sphere of products. Past myself though, a little bit about Boundary Systems. We are a company based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and we are part of the PDSVISION group, which gives us a global footprint, which you could see kind of on the map on the right. In terms of capabilities or what Boundary Systems does, if you don't know, we do a lot of stuff with PLM and data management, cloud services. And on top of that, we also have a consulting branch in terms of CAD and simulation consulting, assisting in product development. So kind of do a bit here. A little bit more about us. So we've been noted in the Inc. 5000, which is national award, and the Weatherwide 100, which is relative to Cleveland, Ohio, which is where we're headquartered. And past that, one of the bigger major accreditations we do have is that we are a PTC Platinum Partner, which gives us a lot of benefits when it comes to helping you with PTC products. And we're also, Windchill certified implementers, which helps with our PLM branch. But past the PTC products, we also service a bunch of different softwares, which you can see on the screen now. Kind of going similar to what we have shown today. There's MoldX 3D, which is a mold flow software that we support. We also have Sumerix flow analysis, which we see in the bottom right. So we do have other products that we do support and use past just the standard PTC products that we're going to kind of show here. But getting right underway into the actual webinar itself, I'm really just showing and highlighting these three products. These three products are the biggest simulation FEA tools available to us, being Creo ANSYS Simulation, Creo Simulate Live, and Creo Simulate, which is the traditional tool. So right now, just as an overview, I'm going to kind of go through each one of these individually. So I'm going to start on the left, being Creo ANSYS Simulation. This is the newest tool available to users. It was available in Creo 7.0.2. So it was about November of 2020 it was released. This tool uses the ANSYS Mesher and an ANSYS solver, and it's currently in the 2020 R1 build, if you're curious. In its current state, we've done a few webinars on this topic. It's more of a basic tool still, so we don't have support for like nonlinear analyses or anything like that yet. It is an H-element solver tool, which is different than the traditional Creo Simulate tool, which we'll talk about a bit. And also in terms of accuracy, what can and can't it see, in terms of parts and an assembly maybe. It's dependent on your accuracy of your part, and absolute accuracy is the best to use with Creo ANSYS Simulation. The next tool we have, another newer tool released a few years ago, is Creo Simulate Live. This is another tool that comes from a ANSYS collaboration with PTC. The big thing to note about Creo Simulation Live is that it is a GPU-based solver, so it requires a CUDA-enabled graphics card. So it's not just CPU-based, it is GPU-based. It does use the ANSYS solver, and again, it's using 2020 R1. Creo Simulate Live has both FEA and CFD support. We're just going to focus on the FEA aspects here, but we have done, again, webinars in the past covering like the CFD aspects of it. Couple things to note about Creo Simulate Live, maybe some drawbacks to it is that it does struggle with larger assemblies containing smaller parts, which we can kind of see in like the light picture down below in that framework, in that some of the trusses, might have small cross sections relative to the full assembly, And so we've seen in the past Creo Simulate Live might struggle with things like this. Another note about Creo Simulate Live is that it only supports the first 6 modes of modal analyses. So if you're working with anything like ultrasonics or very high frequency devices, Creo Simulate Live might not be the best tool for that. The last tool we have is the tool that's been available to us for a while here. It's Creo Simulate. This is a tool that is CPU based again, so no special graphics card required. This tool uses a mesher and solver that PTC developed, so it's not the ANSYS solver mesher. We do have the PTC input there. One thing, big positive to Creo Simulate is that it's the only FEA tool available that supports nonlinear materials and nonlinear analyses that works with Creo. So that's a big positive to the tool. It is a P element solver, and it's also accuracy dependent. So it's going to be able to handle large assemblies with small parts, but it is accuracy dependent. So that's the thing to note there. And so that's kind of just a giant overview of the 3. And what I'm kind of going to show here in the webinar is kind of showing how these 3 tools compare to one another and to kind of discuss where you might use one tool over another. So the first example I have is just a simple structural test case, and this is a cantilever beam. So I show everything on screen, and you can check my math if you want. But essentially, in this example, through theory, math, all that, we can figure out that the max stress should be 48.0 megapascals, and the max deflection should be 3.2 millimeters for this exact test case with these parameters. And if you do these in each of Creo ANSYS, Creo Simulate, and Creo Simulate Live, we see the following results. In this case, we see Creo ANSYS does have the most accurate results with a very small margin of error in terms of stress and displacement. Creo Simulate follows it up, again, pretty small max stress and max displacement errors. And then Creo Simulate Live lags behind with a larger % error in both stress and displacement. A couple things to note and talk about with this results, though, is that no mesh refinement was done. So I just used a straight out of the box. I click mesh, and then I click run, and I saw what the results were. And so obviously, if we go in and refine our mesh a bit, we will probably be able to get more accurate results. And to kind of talk about where would Creo Simulate Live, if you're just seeing that number, if you're not familiar with the tool, if it's having 11% error, why would I use it? The big benefit to, again, is going to be the time of running. In this simple structural cantilever beam, all of these tools ran in about 10 seconds. But if we have a more complex assembly, let's say this engine block, right? All these parts are aluminum 2014. We fixed the back face and we just placed a moment on the front face. Here's where we start to see where the tool shines. Creo Simulate being Creo Simulate Live, where again it's going to have a little bit more error, and so the results, the exact numbers, might not be the most trustworthy. But the big benefit we see is that Creo Simulate Live is going to take about 10 seconds to run a simulation, whereas this engine block in Creo Simulate took 3 hours. And so that might make it more clear as to if I am a design engineer and I'm making some changes to parts and I just want to see what's happening with my changes, Creo Simulate Live can really help, as running an FEA simulation only takes 10 seconds. And you can see that at a bare minimum, you can see the general trend of what your change is going to do. So, if you make a change and your stress goes down, you can pretty confidently say, if I plug this into a full-blown FEA tool, whether that's Creo Simulate, Creo ANSYS, or even just ANSYS Workbench, you can relatively say, hey, my stress is probably going to go down as well. So that's where the Creo Simulate Live tool definitely fits in, is that its speed really helps make it a very effective tool. A couple more test cases with analytical results that I'm going to show is just a simple wall heat transfer, infinitely long wall. So the beam's 10 times longer, so we could essentially ignore the length of the beam, and we just can worry about the cross section here. And what we see is that Creo Simulate and Creo ANSYS Simulation, are very they passed, this analytical result, baseline test, whatever you want to call it. Whereas Creo Simulate Live, again, it gets you this result very quick, but it's a little bit more errorless result compared to the analytical solution. One more test case to just kind of show here is a tuning fork. So again, I show a lot of just math on the screen as to what the theoretical frequency of this tuning fork could be. And it's 443.41 hertz. And one more test here, just showing it. And we see a good accuracy amongst all of these tools, all within, almost 0.5% to all within 1% error of the analytical result. So all of them do very well there. Again, one thing to note though is that Creo Simulate Live is limited to the first 6 modes, and that's not something you can change. So if you are working with like ultrasonics, you would have to look more into the Creo Simulate or Creo ANSYS Simulation tools to fit your needs a bit better. And so now I'm going to show just a quick demo, just kind of showing where some of these tools may shine a little bit better. And the first one I have is just this USB connector, right? So what this example really highlights is kind of where the nonlinear aspects of Creo Simulate shine and where you would need to use this tool. So if we were to push this, USB in, which is cut in half, we would see some deflection, in this beam. Maybe I want to look at the stress there. That's something we wouldn't be able to do in Creo ANSYS Simulation yet because that functionality isn't there. And same thing with Creo Simulate Live, it doesn't really have that functionality or capability yet. But if we use these contact analyses, we are actually able, if I get this set up as stress, and we will do this and let this window pop up in a minute. What we are able to see now, if I rotate this, is as I push in, my USB, we will see, these little legs pop up as they touch and then pop back down and the stress goes back down. So this is a good example of where, Creo Simulate really shines as a product because it is capable of doing these contact analyses, whereas again, the other 2 tools don't have those functionalities quite yet in today. And now to show a little bit more about where Creo Simulate Live, I'm going to kind of just show this engine block. Again, I just have a force coming in on this face and I fix the back. And so just to kind of show this tool, if you haven't seen it yet, if I click Simulate here with my materials applied and all that, it thinks for a little bit. But we'll be able to see, yep, there we go. So it goes all blue first, and that's when it's calculating out the results. If we give it a little bit of time, we get to see some results here. And where this tool is going to be really, really big is that, that took about, 10, 15 seconds. If I come into a certain part and, maybe change the geometry a bit. So let me resume to, and we add in some cuts into this engine block, let's say, and come back into Creo Simulate Live and rerun the simulation, which is going to take another 15 seconds. Let's give it a moment. And we're able to kind of see how those results affect or might have changed our overall analysis, if they did at all. And so the benefit here, again, being is that I made those changes and I saw the results in my FEA simulation, and it took 15, 20 seconds. Whereas if I wanted to see this in Creo Simulate, Creo ANSYS Simulation, or any other traditional FEA tool that you might export this out to, that's going to take another couple hours to see your results. And that just might all end up, the end case might just be, hey, my design choice actually was bad and it increased my max stress in my part. And so then you just kind of, lost 3 hours. Whereas with this tool, if we saw the max stress went down, we can confidently say that, hey, this change did lower my overall stress. Now, by how much, that exact value might be a little bit more erroneous in this tool, but we are able to at least get and understand trends. So that's where this tool really does shine. And so to come back up to this overview slide, again, just to kind of see them, kind of just show that, everything I showed kind of hit these points. And these are, the 3 big FEA tools. But past these, there are other simulation tools in Creo, which are not popping up on the screen. Okay, kind of weird. Not sure why they aren't popping up the screen. But what we do have are training in each of these products. So not only do we do Creo Simulate, we have training for Creo Simulate Live, Creo Flow Analysis, which is a CFD tool, ANSYS Simulation, Creo ANSYS Simulation. We also have mechanism design and mechanism simulation. So if you want to see, based on how your part is assembled in real life, maybe what forces you might be seeing from certain components, mechanism. We also have MoldX 3D, which again is like mold flow, mold design. We teach courses in that as well. We offer training. We have in-house locations kind of over here. We're based out of Cleveland, but have training sites, kind of all around. But we also do offer virtual trainings, and we also have on-site trainings at company sites. So whatever works best for you, we can provide trainings on all these sorts of tools and kind of discuss what they each do. So a little bit of a shorter webinar today, just kind of showing these products off. So now I'd kind of like to open the floor to just any Q&As or questions anyone might have. And also, if you think of questions down the road, you can email me at the email you see on the screen. Or if you have any sales questions regarding how much do any of these products cost, or what's included in them, we have a sales email there. Finally, you could find more at our website, future webinars, as well as our YouTube channel has a lot of webinars specifically about many of these products I've just shown here. I've done many webinars on in the past, couple months, and you could see a little bit more in depth as to how each tool truly operates. This webinar was mainly just positioned to show, where each works best and what each can do. But past that, I'd like to kind of just open up the Q&A. Answer any questions anyone might have about these tools. So one question is, what's included in like a base package of Creo? So you do get a version of Creo Simulate with like the design essentials packages, but Creo Simulate Live is its own separate license, and the same goes for Creo ANSYS Simulation. So these are separate add-on licenses that you need to purchase. And another question regarding training is, what is the training like for, there's some of the prompts, do we get more in depth in the Creo Simulate Live training? And the answer is that it's a 1-day training. It's not a full-fledged FEA tool, so there's not a ton of stuff you can do in it. It's more of just a 1-day class, but yes, we do offer an in-depth Creo Simulate Live training. Make sure. Another question I see is the tools available on the screen available in Creo 5? And so if I come back to the top, Creo ANSYS Simulation is available only in Creo 7.0.2 and later. So Creo 8 is coming out soon. It's available there, and it will be in the future releases. Creo Simulate Live is available in Creos 4, 5, 6, 7, and will be in 8, and so on and so forth. So it is available in Creo 5. Creo Simulate is available in all builds, and currently all builds of Creo that are released to the public. So Creo 1 through the current build. Are plastic materials an option? So that's a good question. In Creo Simulate, yes, plastics are definitely an option. Creo Simulate Live and Creo ANSYS Simulation. Technically, you could add a material that has the properties of plastics. However, if you're looking at like the nonlinear aspects, so if you're looking at where plastics are kind of starting to behave as nonlinear or thermoplastic region, neither of Creo ANSYS Simulation or Creo Simulate Live would be helpful in that regard. But Creo Simulate is poised to handle plastic materials the best. The tools on the left can only handle the linear region aspects of plastics. Another good question is regarding friction and which of these can handle friction. Currently, Creo Simulate is the best tool available for friction, or what we like to call is just interfaces. Currently, Creo ANSYS Simulation can't account for friction, and Creo Simulate Live also cannot account for friction. Friction is something that is planned for release in Creo ANSYS Simulation, but again, it's a very new tool, and so it currently doesn't have any support for it. There are frictionless contacts available in both these tools right now, but nothing for adding like a coefficient of friction. But those are available in Creo Simulate. Yep. And just to clarify again, one more question, just because we got it, guys. Which PTC license has Creo Simulate? Creo Design Essentials comes with a base version of Creo Simulate that will let you at least get into linear structural analyses, and then past that, there are some additional licenses that could be purchased for further functionality. One question about nonlinear motion analysis. That is something that is not available in Creo Simulate Live or Creo ANSYS Simulation at this time. Anything that's regarding that is nonlinear is currently limited to Creo Simulate in their current builds. But again, that's something that will be coming to Creo ANSYS Simulation and possibly Creo Simulate down the road, but Creo Simulate Live, but is to my knowledge, it's not planned for release in Creo Simulate Live, being nonlinear motion is what the question was referring. That seems to be all the questions. If you think of more, I'm going to put my email up on the screen again. It's aveterini@boundarysys.com. You could send me over any emails with any questions you have regarding pretty much any of the simulation products. What are their capabilities or functionalities, and I can answer those questions for you. That in mind, looks like all the questions are answered and good to go. So I'll be closing out the webinar. I hope you all have a good rest of your day.